Good evening and welcome to a special meeting of the Town Council, June 29th, here in our Matthews room. If you kindly rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This evening, Nancy Harrington has been excused from our meeting. And we're going to open with public comment. If anybody from the public would like to speak, address the council, and seeing no one here, move on to our item of discussion tonight. Council to consider initiation of a zoning ordinance amendment relative to mixed-use development to be referred to the planning board for recommendations pursuant to Charter Article 11, Section 5, and RSA 675:2. This evening, Tim Thompson here is to present us with our discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Just to give you an idea of why we're here tonight, there's been concern expressed from the council, specifically regarding the section of our ordinance dealing with mixed-use developments, particularly as it regards residential density and the allowances that have been granted in the conditional use permit process in recent projects. Further concern about the mix of uses, that being how the balance of residential and non-residential uses have been developed through these projects as they've worked their way through the processes. And also looking at our upcoming master plan process as an opportunity to examine the policy goals of the community as it relates to future mixed-use projects. So with regard to our existing ordinance, there's three options that I have for the council's consideration here tonight. First would be status quo, to take no action on the ordinance, leave the ordinance as it is, leave the process for administration of those conditional use permits per the existing language. Second option would be to revise that section of the ordinance and rewrite it so that it's more in line with the desires of the community. The drawback to that approach is that it will take several months of research, ordinance language development, and public hearings, so that it would not be something that could be quickly done by the council in the coming days and months. Third option would be to repeal the current section of mixed use in the zoning ordinance, determine an appropriate course of action regarding mixed use in the upcoming master plan process. This way, the initial repeal can take effect fairly quickly and allow for a thorough discussion as to where the community wants to be through the master plan process, which is slated to be funded in the next upcoming budget in our capital improvements program. What I'm proposing is to take section 2.02.4.d and revise it as follows by eliminating all the current language in the section and replacing it with the following. The title of the section would be Mixed Use Developments Permitted in the I-1 District by Conditional Use Permit Repealed. And the language would be replaced by all previously approved mixed-use conditional use permits, CUPs, that existed at the time of this section being repealed, then entering in the date that the council takes action on this, shall be subject to the requirements of the former section 202.4D as existed in the zoning ordinance revised as of January 14th, 2021. Any proposed modifications or amendments to those previously approved CUPs shall be required to comply with the requirements of the underlying zoning district they are located within and or the provisions of Section 9 non-conforming uses. So ultimately what this will do is will basically give the town a pause on future mixed-use development projects until such time that the council and the town has gone through that master plan process, developed the proper policy direction and desire of the community as to how we want to see these types of projects move forward. And then as staff and with consultants as necessary, we would develop a new ordinance to replace this now proposed repeal language. The process for this, this would be a town council initiative. If you would do that process here tonight, you would be requesting that a zoning ordinance amendment process begin. You would refer that ordinance language to the planning board. Under statute, the planning board would then hold a public hearing and make a recommendation to the council. And I also note that once the amendment is posted for a public hearing at the planning board, that new language essentially becomes effective, and any new projects that come in once it's posted would be subject to the new language, not the language being deleted. Once the planning board makes a recommendation either to approve it or not to approve it, The council would then go through your normal process for ordinances. That would be a first reading and introduction of the amendment, a second reading and public hearing, and then finally a third reading and then your vote on whether or not to adopt those changes. That really summarizes quickly the process that the staff is prepared to go forward with, and I'm certainly welcome to answer any questions that you may have tonight.
Tom?
So Tim, your second option talked about quickly going through and trying to rewrite a better or different or a more thorough description, but you're not recommending that. Can you amplify on why you wouldn't recommend that? Or-
Certainly. I think that there's a realization that because we're nearing the end of the 10 plus years since our last master plan was developed, that the community is not the same as it was back in 2012 and 2013 when our most recent master plan was adopted. And we're very likely to see some changes in terms of the direction the community may want to see development take place and the policies that the town might want to consider moving forward. Rather than basing a zoning ordinance amendment on our existing master plan, which may or may not be the current desire of the community, would be my professional recommendation that we make sure that we're going through a thorough planning process so that we have an understanding of the needs and desires of the community, so that moving forward, we're doing something that the community is desirous of.
And it's my understanding that would also require you to seek outside consultation in order to get this done in a hurry.
In order to do something prior to our full master plan being done, yes, I would certainly recommend that we bring in some subject matter experts to assist staff in the development of language that would be both defensible and something that the town would want to move forward with.
And that's something we do anyway with the master plan.
We
so
do.
it
We
kind of
have
melds
a
together very
proposed
well.
budget already established in our capital improvements program for the town to move forward through that comprehensive process that looks not only at this particular issue, but the breadth of land use, housing, community facilities, environment, all those things that a typical master plan would cover.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts? Somebody like to make a motion? Tom?
I move that the council adopt the proposed zoning amendment to section 2.02.4, parentheses D, in the form presented to the council at this meeting, and to provide the zoning amendment to the planning board for its review and recommendation. Upon receipt of the planning board's recommendation, the council will review the recommendation and consider an ordinance to amend pursuant to Town Charter Section 5.
Second.
Motion by Tom Koenig, seconded by Nancy Murphy. Any further discussion on your motion, Tom?
No,
Any further?
I think it's a great idea to move forward this way. It does a lot of things to alleviate some of the concerns people have right now in town, that we have maybe a few too many apartments going up right at the moment.
Very good.
Give
I
us a
think you're
chance
right.
to think
I've
about it
been-
and discuss it. Yeah.
I've been, like many of you here on the council, have heard a lot of comments, and so I agree with you. So if there's no further discussion on the motion, I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 6-0-0. Thank you,
Thank
Tim.
you. Given the timing of this, I do believe that I will be able to get it on the planning board's agenda for their July 18th meeting for a public hearing, and then hopefully back to the council in either August or early September.
Very good. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the public or press? And seeing nobody here, any comments from the council?
I just want to make sure I understand. As soon as this is posted for public hearing, that's when this language
Yes.
basically becomes
Per
effective.
state statute regarding land use regulations, anytime a zoning ordinance, site plan regulation, or subdivision ordinance regulation is posted for public hearing, that language becomes effective and the town can enforce that language.
Okay.
And until such time that either the ordinance is adopted or not adopted. If it were not adopted, then the previous language after the council vote to not adopt would then go back into effect.
Okay, so we can just hear it at our next routine council meeting. There's no rush to come back and review the recommendation from the planning board.
No, other than just the standard course of,
Just to get it done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you need to notify,
there will be, because of a state law change several years ago, anytime a zoning ordinance amendment has a direct impact on a particular property, there's a requirement that they be notified of the public hearing. So I'll be working with my staff and with legal counsel to ensure that all those properties that need to be properly notified, in addition to the general public hearing notice, will get notice as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you for all the work. All right.
Move to adjourn?
Motion by Tom Koenig, seconded by Andy Hunter. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained, 600. Thank you very much.